Hello everybody and welcome to ETF2L 6v6 Season 49. We're still here in Prem Week 1. I am Rook and I'm joined by Cerny as we got a matchup between Danish Tyrant Regime and sammakot. Almost completely misread my notes there and almost said versus Cerny, but you know, we're good. We're all okay and we're here in Week 1. We're ready for it all.
I can take 6 guys at once in a fight, obviously. Anyway, yeah, I mean, we're coming out swinging in this season. In general, I think this is probably the craziest Prem season we've ever had, and we've been saying that for the past like 5 seasons in a row. Because they've just been getting crazier and crazier. But this is probably genuinely going to be the single closest Prem season we have ever had, solely because it's impossible to call who's going to make playoffs. I genuinely think this is the hardest it's ever been to make that prediction. I can't possibly make that prediction at all. Matter of fact, these two teams should be pretty evenly matched. I mean, DTR have overhauled almost their entire roster. sammakot have had some changes as well, even though they have retained a bit more of their core since last season. Making it through the qualifiers again, knocking out the blokes effectively, being the first to beat them at least, right? That already, I think, make them punch above their weight class, right? So this is going to be a crazy match, I think. This is at least potential to be a crazy match.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on the idea that this should be relatively well matched because both teams coming through those Prem quals, which are the matches that you were just chatting about. So yeah, no, I'm pretty optimistic about it. I mean, to be fair, we've got pretty banging Week 1 in general. Obviously, earlier in this week we had for Fence versus Witness, and that was pretty awesome as well. And as you said, it's because there's just so much talent in Prem at the moment, and you guys are going to get to see it all on display here as we're getting right on into the match here on Process to kick things off. Not aware of the second map, so I can't tell you that, but we've got a mid coming our way.
Granary, I believe.
Granary,
but
awesome.
Yes. That's going to be the first mid fight for Process. For now, it's going to be a while before we get to that second one, and we'll see how this first mid kicks off. Who will take the fight to the other team? Who will, well, try to maybe get the ball rolling first, get a little bit of momentum on their side, as people are dying already on the side of sammakot. That's the mid and 2 players taken care of. The team is crumbling, even though Juxta feels a bit of pressure as well as a counter. They simply cannot possibly clean up that damage on him. It's only Rodisher and SNH left. SNH does slip in behind. He's a bit of a nuisance back there, but he's not going to do much against the whole team turning around and trying to keep him at bay, and it's going to be a 1 mid for the time being for DTR. They still have to worry about that scout behind, but as long as they got tabs on him, I think this is a pretty easy roll into Lost.
Yeah, it should be. They got that med like right at the start of the fight as well, which is absolutely brilliant. Big kudos to Nikki for finding that one. And now, yeah, it absolutely is the last hole. Building out the sentry, making sure they have as much as they darn well can to buy them some time. But about a 40 Uber disad here is going to be pretty brutal. SNH is trying to catch someone off guard. Flick is in fact chasing, and he will eventually kill them, which buys them some time. But in that time, the sentry falls and they're going in.
Yeah, that Uber has claimed a lot of ground already. A frag with SNH being down, now Silvers as well, so they're gonna find a few more. Actually, Elov and Rochester, okay, they're cleaning them up. I was wondering, it was taking a little while for a bit there, but they do clean up the kills they need to. Robert couldn't quite get an Uber up in time either to try and defend with, and it's a quick first round going the way of DTR. They're coming out swinging, and in less than 2 minutes, they're up 1-0.
Yeah, no, really nice to see. I mean, great aggression coming out. Great play in general, and I mean, I'm absolutely here to see some of that aggression. Both of these teams have pretty stacked rosters in terms of mechanical skills, so I'm looking to see more of that. So obviously some really good scouts on sammakot. Let's see if they can actually defend their medic this time and keep their demo, importantly, alive as well, who's already getting that pressure put on by Nikki, but doesn't amount to quite as early a kill this time.
It's a bit slower again for the start here, but positioning-wise, so much position already taken for sammakot. They're going to bomb across as well, see if they can get any sort of damage down. Finally, the first to fall is Rodisher. On their side, there goes Derpy as well. No demo, no soldier. They only find Nikki on the other side, but they've kept Robert safe. No pressure on either medic for that matter, even if the entire team for sammakot has to bleed their lives away. They kept Robert in the game this time around, which should make Holden last one hell of a lot easier when you've got this entire DTR team. Already rearing to go into last. M's already very far forward as well, being a bit of a nuisance. Smile coming in on the other side. They're claiming ground on this last as much as they can. At least as early as they can, but looks like they're going to have to work for it a little bit more. We're second not even capped yet, and a little bit of interference being run in lobby as well. A couple of frags, and suddenly it looks like DTR might have to be on the back foot.
Yeah, Alov and Rosscher getting some nice openings that could lead to something here. Nikki pops up, Alov gets some good damage, but they don't quite finish them off. Instead, it's them who falls. And this second looks like it's in favor of sammakot right now. They are going to milk, in fact. sammakot do use their Uber a lot later here. Will likely be able to kill and do, in fact, kill Ambus there as they continue to run forward. They really wanted to find Juxta there, but the choke is a little too hindering for them.
Can't quite get it done, but at the very least, you retake your second off the back of it anyway. It's still equal, and they're just rearing to keep going forward. They know the player advantage. It just suits them so much here for sammakot. No scouts means nothing to stop your soldiers in demo from taking as much ground as they want, and that's exactly what they do. Just keep it rolling forward, even going into second. I mean, just a lot of pressure. Both soldiers bombing in deep as well. Lots of damage down, but they don't find the frags they want to. Juxta is just too evasive, too slippery. Gets away, and now you're down SNH as well. You gotta try to get out of there again. Derpy might even get caught if he's not careful. Smile is on that chase, but it looks like he will escape for the time being.
Yeah, SNH is well committing into IT there. A little bit dangerous and does open up their team for that retaliation, for that problematic.
Or Nikki.
Come on through. They do jump to eat. Can they find Robert some good damage, but no kill? They need to play if they can bide their time. sammakot are not in too bad a position. Some good shots going down. Blake has to back up as Roger buys that space, and you can see that Ampus is going to just about be able to escape here. Maybe dies to a follow-up rocket. Does indeed. And back into mid for Danish Tyrant regime.
Yeah, they can't quite commit to that too much. The Ubers are equal as well, and well, if you're down a player, this might be enough for sammakot to just take it. They will, matter of fact, just pop right through Robert, basically getting forced, living by a sliver. It's going to be a better Uber for DTR, and they're going to get caught in choke as well. Maybe no, okay. The juggle does not quite come through. Robert will be able to surf it away. It will be a reset onto the second point, and for once, for the first time, I think both teams will be happy to catch a breath ever so slightly, with Ams picking up the sniper as well, slowing down the pace ever so slightly, working for that pick play instead, seeing if perhaps catching them off guard with a little headshot here could turn the tides in their favor as they've slowed down trying to get into the second.
Yeah, after that little bit of catch point ping pong, they do go for that sniper to try and open things up, but they are known, they don't get that element of surprise. Apparently they still do. Alov out in the open gets caught there, and that's a big opportunity, but Alien going down, again, that ability to really push forward is quite hindered.
They're being brave picking these sightlines, man. Robert is a man of steel, just trying to be so keen to walk into Am's sightlines. I mean, it's working out. They're baiting in these players. Nikki, Smile both getting taken care of. No soldiers now to worry about, which means the medic is even safer. The sniper's off the field as well. Matter of fact, it's only Alien left alive for DTR, and he just spawned, so he's not going to be of any trouble here whatsoever either. Just got to watch out for a sticky trap by the time he gets to second, and, well, I don't think they're going to be worrying about that much, sammakot, considering there's not much protecting the second point anyway for DTR. They should be worrying about the last hold.
Indeed they should. I mean, really nice from sammakot to see, hey, there's a sniper, hey, the sniper's not in a great position anymore, or in a chance to find anyone, we should just go for this. They know they've got the Uberad, they're going to make this push, this cap is going to come through halfway in, they're going to be able to cut off that right-hand side spawn. They do manage to force the stickies out, as Mora getting laid, trying to buy that space, trying to buy some time, as the cap goes to half, but nowhere near enough there, as they pile them to the point, and just the explosives.
They couldn't find the focus. They couldn't quite get the heavy. The heavy just soaks up so much, and then the soldiers jump in, clean up everybody on the point right after, as soon as the heals get spread a little thin, and there you go. Nice little hold by DTR, keeping himself in the game. Big ad to roll forward with as well now. Probably able to roll that all the way to the enemy second if they manage to get into mid decently well. SNH on the sniper though. Gotta watch out for that. That might be something that can catch him out here, depending on how they decide to enter this middle point, as he's really eager to catch a jumping soldier in that choke or something, but DTR are playing it slow, they're playing it steady. The Uber does come through eventually as the soldiers go soaring across the point, but you don't really find anything besides Derpy, who's just caught a little bit. A demo pick for an whole Uber? I don't know if that's a worthwhile trade necessarily. You get mid off of it as well, but no, Robert's gonna have very soon, so they gotta keep this rolling.
Oh, I love that there from Silas to try and find something, but bit off more than they could chew. The players had heard that coming. Danish Tyrant regime don't commit towards the choke, and as a result don't lose anyone. They're fine.
And they're actually doing a decent job right now just pushing themselves in here. I mean, Roger goes down as well. Robert is kind of left in no man's land with nobody to really heal. He's surrounded by all sides by DTR players, but in fact he has to pop as Nikki just gets into his face. And that is not what you like to see if you're rooting for sammakot to be having a good time here, because there's no pressure at all that they can exert with that. They have to get out now as the Uber is close for Juxta, and it's looking like it couldn't be another last hold on the cards for them. If they can't really get anything out of this. They gotta hold this last somehow.
Yeah, they're gonna have a real rough time of it, as you said, about 60 Uber ad right now. The Sentry might get to level 2 in time if they're quick. Some spam into lobby here might have bought them the precious seconds that they oh so sorely needed. As you see, the Sentry doesn't quite make it. The Uber comes through and cuts off that Engineer and even gets some good damage and does kill Russia. They're going to have the Heavy out on the right-hand side right now, trying to keep that point clear as the Scouts jump around and try and provide that spaces. Again, tapping on the point, no one contests, and Danish Tyrant regime move up to 2.
So much point pressure and nobody there to really block it. Just too hemmed into the spawn door on the side of sammakot. They couldn't get to the point in time, and it turns out if you have 2 scouts standing on it, that thing caps pretty quick. And that's gonna put them up 2-0. With still, well, 20 minutes to go. Plenty of time for sammakot to find their way back into this, but if I've not been looking so strong for the first little third of this map, they really have to find their way into the response for DTR here. They brought the fight to them on that second round a little bit more, and they keep with a fast roll. Gets onto Derpy already, but they'll have to just walk back a little bit, get healed up as the teams take it away for another mid-fight.
They decide to split the sides right here. So this gets a shot in, takes down Alien at the very least. That's a nice trade, Soldier, for the demo here.
Robert.
It gives the space over, but with Robert going down to a rocket from Nikki, that is brutal.
That is very brutal. Rodisher gets onto Juxta as well, but does 0 damage to the medic. It's only 2 scouts for sammakot, trying to salvage anything, and they get diffed just 1-1 by Flick and Ams respectively. So it's another lost mid for sammakot. It's a pretty decisive fight so far for DTR. They're gonna keep this rolling forward as well. Full Uber still to work with as well, and it could be another round on the board for them very quickly unless sammakot find a way to finally hold this for once, and even, well, worse odds than they were last round. So I have to see. I mean, the Sentry might be level 2 for real this time around. It will indeed, but it's probably all they've got to work with. A little bit of spam isn't going to do much to slow them down as the Uber comes in once more. That Sentry's going to take it immediately. Nobody's going to be coming out that right spawn door either. Now it's going to be how fast can sammakot rotate to try and get anything done here. There's a lot of blocking to be done on the point as well. So much cap time already. They lose Robert as well. He's caught out of position. So even if they win this somehow, they're not going to get a good ad. And the damage just being laid down. Smile picking up 3. And there you go. Another round with Danish Tyrant regime.
It didn't look too bad for sammakot initially, with the Heavy as well just rolling out of spawn. They got a lot of damage onto the opposing demo. They almost managed to kill Alien and then did immediately kill him right after. But the problem is as you said, there were just soldiers up in the rafters, completely denying away a lot of the space that they wanted to contest. And sammakot, a little bit anxious about the previous loss, had players on point, and unfortunately, they were just fodder right now. This time, Bomb doesn't come in quickly from Nikki, and Derpy has a lot more space to work with. Let's see if sammakot can rectify a couple of the mistakes from the previous mids, as already those jumps are coming through and putting the pressure on. Derpy hoops it down, and Robert goes down to Smile. sammakot again dropped their med in these mids.
Yeah, I mean, at least they found Juxta this time around, but it's still only a Soul Scout. Elef trying his absolute best here. He does get onto Alien as well. Will at least manage to clean up that kill effectively, but it's still a lost mid. Albeit, this time around, a lot better of a performance for sammakot to just salvage something out of it, right? They did get the enemy medic as well. Matter of fact, they're going to have a bit of an ad to work with as they're building. They might have to worry about a Nikki, who's very far forward, but has realized people aren't going to be pushing him quickly enough, so he's just going to meet up with his team, and it might be a bit of stabilization. At least a chance for sammakot to stabilize on second here. Give themselves a bit of time, get that Uber ready, go for the equal situation and see how that treats you if you find your way back into it there. Because clearly the pace of the game is suiting DTR so much right now.
Smile waiting that chokeman for a chance to jump out right now, and with the spotting from their players in sewer, do actually manage to catch Ambus Motum Silvestre there. Maybe could have looked for something, but as a result of them losing a player, they start to back up play a little bit more defensively.
Yeah, can't blame them. It's very reasonable to just take your chances here. At the end of the day, you are missing a scout, which means soldier bombs will be potentially a little bit scary here as well if Silves decides to send himself through that choke. It's a dangerous thing to hold up against now. But it doesn't look like sammakot are too keen either. They're not too keen on the risk. They know what's at stake. Another round down would be pretty bad for them, and Am's going down. Well, it's an opportunity for him to pick up the rifle once more, so very well. Bit of pressure out of Sewer could just be the thing they need once more. He didn't actually get too many kills last time around, but just that sniper pressure, commanding pressure, was a lot to work with. Robert is basically hemmed into the point now, or behind it, and well, that lines up something for the soldiers, perhaps. A Smile or Nicky want to get a bit ambitious as well. It's on sammakot to try and figure this one out, try and solve this situation somehow. As, well, at the end of the day, they're still 3 rounds up on the side of DTR, they can take their time.
They can indeed. I mean, I was going to say time is absolutely on their side. They look like they're going to shift up positions as Ampus now actually peers through choke, but gets spotted instantly and eats a rocket to the face for good measure. As Danish Tyrant regime happy to just chill out and take this one slow, as we said before. Whereas sammakot, they don't have time on their side, but they seem happy to just sit here. Maybe they're looking for a slip-up.
Yeah, I think...
Oh no, Smile catches Derpy!
The slip-up is on their side. Derpy going down is going to make things a lot easier for the peaking team here. DTR is going to have so much more room to work with. The Smile bomb comes across already. A little bit of damage to Robert, and it's actually enough to just decide to go for the exchange. Fair enough. Slightly better Uber, obviously on the side of DTR, but also a bit more flash. So it will end at roughly the same time, but Robert is immediately caught as his Uber fades. Alof just for good measure as well, and everybody else for sammakot is out of there and dodged. But it's looking like another easy conversion for DTR. No heals to worry about at all on the defensive side, and players aren't looking too healthy. And Vardish are just basically barely making it back to spawn. Even then, you have the Uber ad if you want to slow it down. You still have Am's on the sniper as well, shutting down an entire sideline. SNH is picking up the counter sniper as well, but if you're already defending in a situation like this, it's certainly not the best position to be in.
No, it really isn't. It's
going
to be very
tough one to divulge.
Yeah, I like the fact that they would maybe go for something more aggressive to try and find them, because I think sammakot need to be a little bit more impetuous. They need to look for these opportunities, because right now, when they're playing slow, they're just getting rolled over by DTR, just like this. One down, another down, and that is both of those scouts gone. That is brutal to see. Silvez is gone as well, and that point is just going to be taken in short order. The deck comes through. Robert is, that's the back spawn, but yeah, 4 rounds on the trot here for Danish Tyrant regime.
They're putting themselves on match point already with 14 minutes left. Now, 14 minutes for 4 rounds on the side of sammakot is feasible. It is certainly possible. It has happened before, but they have to move mountains at this point if they really want to turn the pace of the game around. They have not been looking comfortable at all so far. No matter what they do, they're trying to go for, maybe wait for a slip-up on the side of DTR, end up doing the slip-up themselves, and we'll see if this next mid-fight can maybe spell a bit of a turnaround for them, or if it's just going to be a quick and easy finisher for the side of DTR.
DTR bombing in again, Smile fades away, but they still catch Robert. Some great rockets coming on out, and with Derpy who's gone down as well, that's all of the power ripped away from sammakot right now. Just 2 soldiers, and maybe they sack for something, maybe they find something, but it looks like they're just leaving, and they even lose Silvez in that exchange there, as Roche does make it out, but that's it.
Yeah. So we got licking your wounds with a soul soldier. Again, Robert just not being able to dodge all that damage coming his way, and it's going to be another last hold for the side of sammakot. Crucially for them, though, DTR are taking their sweet time, just capping mid and even second now, just finally getting some time on that, so I guess slowing that down a little bit gives them a bit of a chance to get the defenses established, and if you're going to turn it around, why not start with a coast-to-coast from your own miraculous last hold and everything? It would be quite the story, but they do have to work against this full Uber that's going to be coming in right away as they pop in once more. Same door, same old story. Sentry taken care of immediately. Now it's going to be on the rotation of sammakot. Will they be able to get out of spawn? Will they be able to block the point in time as well? Lots of cap time put on already. Matter of fact, they can't. They just can't get to it in time.
Man, what a dominating performance here from Danish Tyrant regime. We were coming into this expecting them to be relatively well matched up against sammakot. Obviously, both of them qualifying through the Prem qualifiers and having decent matchups there. I was optimistic for sammakot, but it just doesn't seem to be coming together. They can't keep their med or their demo alive on these mids, and they're really suffering for it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's maybe just an off day. Maybe maybe they just suck on process, right? At the end of the day, you can't be guaranteed to always play the maps that you're best on. Perhaps that's something that plays into it. It certainly isn't looking like a performance that I was expecting out of them, but who knows? Maybe the start of the season is always where things are very different
That's right.
and things evolve as the season goes on. At the end of the day, I mean, even just looking at the logs, this is a quick game. You can tell this was a quick game because top killer was Smile, and he had 19 frags. I mean, it's quite the KD, 19 and 5. But 19 kills, that's a short game. You can tell this was a short game. It was kind of a roll. It shows it was pretty one-sided. Every mid was won by DTR. It's pretty dominating.
It does make me even more worried for sammakot, though. In particular, that Smile and Nikki are so high up on this scoreboard. They had an absolute whale of a time here on process. Yeah. And Granary's not going to get any better for you, sammakot, unfortunately. DTR looking very confident coming through here. Was impressed as well by how they were kind of positioning around their med, especially once they got the advantage. They were very rarely dropping it. I'm pretty optimistic for them, and it's a great way for them to make a statement coming into Prem here with such a contested season that we've got, trying to make that way for the playoffs, to get a win against someone who's kind of considered in a similar point within the standings as them in such dominating fashion. Is a great way to say, hey, we're here and we're here to play.
Yeah, like you're coming in swinging into the season, even if this ends up being one of your easier matchups, considering what else they will be going up against later down the line, right? It's still nice to have those points, especially with how contested the season is going to be. Every point counts, right? And getting an easy 6, at the end of the day, that's nothing to scoff at all. It gives you a nice little buffer to absorb once you start going up against your Witness, your Forfences, your Mandoms, right? Those are the teams that DTR are probably looking at and be going like, okay, they're going to be the real big deals. And even if they, perhaps weren't doing the math with sammakot, even being much of a problem at all, a stumbling stone, which, well, at least so far seems to not be the case. It could have been. And then, if you drop points here, then it would have been a very different story. So they're en route right now. They're doing well in that regard.
It is early doors, like, absolutely. Yeah. But it's really important to get some of these early matches in your favor. Otherwise, actually finding that playoffs opportunity is going to be very difficult, especially against teams like sammakot, who are kind of probably one of their easier matchups. DTR really want to pick up as many points as they can.
Well, that being said, Granary is our second map. And we saw a very, very dominant performance out of the DTR soldiers. Smile and Nikki wreaking havoc on process alone, which traditionally, not even that much of a soldier map, right? You'd expect the scouts to be really the ones that pop off there, but both the scouts on both teams kind of just taking a back seat, I feel like, for most of that match. I mean, it's not like there was much to do, I guess, for Flick and Ams on their side. But yeah, Granary is kind of that map where soldiers go to thrive, right? It's the soldier map that we have in the pool. So if we're gonna be continuing with a similar pace, this could be over even more quickly, I feel.
Yeah, sometimes Granary can be an absolute stonewall of a match, right? Like where it's just really hard to get through anything. But there are times where it can get completely blown open, and times where that's so important is when there's a massive soldier diff. And in particular, when Smile and Nikki are playing so hot right now, it does make me a little bit worried for sammakot. But at the very least, we might get to see some pretty exciting action.
Yeah, but also this being the soldier map, maybe it gives Sills and Rudisher, their time to shine. Maybe this is where they can step up a little bit more, make more of an impact than they could on process. Maybe they were getting shut down a little bit too much by the scouts last map, right? So perhaps having a bit more of an impact here could turn things around. At the end of the day, we don't quite know exactly who picked which maps. We don't know quite who wanted what here, right? But maybe Granary's their map. Maybe that's where things are suddenly going to be very different. It could be one of those weird games where one team rolls one map and then the other team rolls the other in some weird fashion. I suppose we'll see how it's spelled out after the first mid-fight. If sammakot are, doomed to have a pretty of a terrible week 1 and then maybe recover from there, or whether they can actually put up a fight against DTR, steal some points away as they've already reared up, ready to go. and taking it to the first mid-fight straight away, wanting to make it a quick night, and I don't hate him for it, because that means we don't have like a double golden cap for once, which is very nice.
Yeah, I know. I mean, sometimes it's nice to have those ones which are just so exciting and explosive, and that's definitely what we got from map 1 here. But sammakot looking to make sure that doesn't happen this time. Positioned up on height, really trying to make sure that Smile cannot get anything going. As obviously that was key in what was happening in the previous one. But Sills jumps forward, gets picked off. With Alien down though, they can play a lot slower. sammakot should be able to look for a big opportunity here. Nikki drops behind, gets a shot, and is doubled up. Robert goes down again. It feels like Danish Tyrant regime serendipitously find themselves a medic kill there. And you can see that sammakot don't care. They just go hard and kill everyone anyway.
Just accidentally stumbling into that Robert frag, but at the very, very least, sammakot managed to get the picks they needed to anyway, taking care of all those players and keep the momentum up forwards. Get Juxta taken care of as well. Give yourself a bit of an ad here. It's not going to be sizable, but it is going to be, you know, noteworthy at the very least. It's not nothing, and well, at least it probably allows them to get into second. I mean, DTR seemed perfectly content with maybe even just sitting on last for a while. They were expecting more aggression before switching back off, going to second instead, and oh, now they're going to be able to hold that, but it's going to be an opportunity for sammakot for once. I'm pretty sure this might be the first time this series they find themselves on the enemy side of the map, so they're already looking a lot better than they did on Process.
Yeah, already won more mids than they did in Process, which is obviously a key factor of winning anything. It's really nice of them to find this opportunity. Now, obviously, they've got to push on in here. They do have an Uber ad, but it's not huge. It's about 10, 20, 15%, I think, or something. And using it might be easier said than done. Right now, they're just contesting on the point. They've got the Uber, and the ad is about to disappear. So they're going to have to play this one slower, which did seem to benefit them somewhat in the previous scenario. A great pitch coming in here does mean they can take a Smile, but they trade a soldier for a soldier. And that little bit of cap time, and they can't even turn that into the point. That's going to have to be the Uber to try and make sure their demo gets out, and then it's going to be the trade overall here. Going to be interested if they're going to actually find anything else at the back of this. You saw that Hampus is just going hard for this one. Really wants to make it happen, but look who's behind. Nikki seems to just really have Robert's number this time.
That entire fight fell apart before it even really started, because by the time that Uber was exchanged, 3 players were dead on the side of sammakot, just caught out in Lunchbox and like on the side, so they were already at the losing end before the exchange even happened, and obviously afterwards you just don't have any players or positioning to really get away with anything, so you just end up getting pincered, and everybody is dead. And now they're on their own second, but if it's any consolation, Juxta doesn't quite have yet. There's not going to be too much immediate aggression unless DTR really want to dry push all the way to last, which now they're taking their time. Doing this the old-fashioned way, doing this the way it's meant to be done. Juxta is going to charge up top with Amps, and okay, they're going to take that into last. At the very least, that Uber comes through, and they find the kill they need. Robert taken care of means this should be as free of a last push as it can be. Sure, there's some overheal players, but sammakot are just going to be bled trying to warp attrition eventually, and it's already starting to happen.
Yeah, Alov tries to get aggressive and at least trade 1-for-1, but it's not happening. The point is taken, and really nice Uber usage there from DTR. They know they had a bit of an advantage and just absolutely went in, took down the medic, and then from there, that was all she wrote.
Found it the frag you needed to. Look at that. First round going the way of DTR once more, but it wasn't as easy, as quick, or as decisive this time around. It took twice as long, and most importantly, didn't win the mid, so if this is the turnaround sammakot needs, if this is a little bit of a motivational boost that they desired, then perhaps the turnaround could very well still be underway. The next mid-fight unfolding. Derpy taking the high ground, being a little bit faster as well, cutting Alien off from any bonus health that he could have had. And, well, allowing sammakot to have the high positioning again, but Smiley went for the huge high bomb. Lots of damage to Robert already. Any follow-up onto him will be pretty dangerous to deal with, and 3 players going down for it. Make it 4, actually. It's only Alov and Robert on a sliver of HP himself. Does somehow escapes with 4 health again around the corner. And no, there's no way. There's no way he gets away again.
Man, I feel like Robert is actually magnetized to these rockets. It is so important. It feels like sitting in choke there just takes 2 splash rockets, gets completely chunked, and then run down by those scouts. A brutal mid that, again, for sammakot just feels like it went wrong in every way it possibly could.
They lose all these players early. They can't really get any positioning down as soon as Robert takes any damage, and it just, you know, snowballs or spirals from there. SNH, they'll frag there onto AMS with a snipe. I mean, it's gonna slow things down a bit for DTR, but how much do they really worry about missing Ampus, or are they just gonna push in anyway? I feel like they probably could be keen enough with this big Uber ad they have, nothing to worry about, and that's what they're doing. They're just gonna pop in right away, cut off that door. Alien gets 2 in the spawn door before that Uber has any chance to fade whatsoever. Robert gets taken down as well. No healing now for sammakot to come back out with, for any chance of a surprise Uber to hold with. No cap time just yet. DTR just toying with them. I guess they're waiting for those stickers to get cleared off eventually as Derpy gets taken down. And there you go. 2-0. That is a very dominant last push, almost textbook, you could say, but everything went well. Like, everything that could have gone well went well for them.
Yeah, I mean, they jumped in, they dealt with the sentry, and beyond that, the NG's not really a player. I mean, it was basically a 5v5 at that point. With the Uber advantage, yeah, they just absolutely tore it apart. And again, Robert gets caught in, like, a doorway / a choke / whatever, and it just feels like it's I feel like it's like, I don't know, what's the final destination but for Robert alone in this game and in this series, honestly.
He's finding a lot of ways to die, and I guess we'll see if this mid is going to be another one, or if Juxta might be the one to fall this time. He's a lot of early damage on this mid fight. Radisha goes for the high bomb as well with his follow-up. Myself, they don't quite get the frag cleared out though. Juxta still lives now. Robert's in danger, and it just completely gets turned about. Everybody jumps across, trying to get onto Juxta, but they can't clean it up, and now Robert's left unattended, and it just falls apart from there. Once more, DTR basically already on last. I mean, they're on second again, you know, fortified, but it's basically into last off the back of that. I mean, Robert is still not up. No heals being spread around for the defenders at all. The Uber is in play, and it's gonna look like another nice, easy one for DTR to take. It's their last push to lose, basically.
Yeah, this is going to be very difficult again for sammakot. They just lose players, I feel like, just naturally as the course of these mids. And as a result, they have nothing on this last. They're going to try and make some bombs to provide some space for their team to move on out. SNH over on the heavy could provide something as Roger is actually body blocking, putting their body on the line to keep this point safe. But with his shot going in, with the rest of these players, flick right in Derpy's face, completely cutting them off, will eventually kill them. That'll be that, and Danish Tyrant regime move up to 3 points.
That's an interesting one. I think there was like a glimmer of hope for sammakot there to actually somehow hold that. If they had found a frag or 2 a little bit earlier, or something like that, I feel like that could have turned around, but it just took too long. They were spread out too thin. Robert couldn't keep everybody alive, and eventually the war of attrition again goes the way of DTR. We're on to the 4th mid fight now. Up 3 rounds for the side of Danish Tyrant regime, and they're not looking like they're slowing down anytime soon, but I guess a mid fight can always be the turnaround that they need, considering that every single round so far was basically one off it in one way or another.
Smile.
A high bump by DTR. No, Smile. He does land on that lamp. He does just chill up there. He gets onto Robert immediately. Okay, he gets out. He gets
Juxta
out.
does go down though to Derpy, so Derpy finds a lot of damage on playing on demo, but with a couple of losses anyway, this could still be a 1 fight for DTR. They are pushing them out, but sensibly playing. Oh my god. I was about to say to the med, but they actually lose out on the mid. They will, however, have Uber, will sammakot, so they will be able to retake this most likely. They just got to get those players in the right place.
They have a chance for once. They've been given an ace in the sleeve. They just have to actually make it work. And, well, DTR aren't going to give this mid up for free. They're certainly looking to fight it and make sure that this Uber is out of the equation as soon as possible. They lose Nikki, though, for their trouble. Smile as well, and Robert not quite feeling the pressure just yet. However, there's a flick behind him as well, and he will have to pop eventually as the entire team gets wiped as well. They've effectively sacked the whole team for an Uber, which is obviously great for sammakot, and Flick even just being a bit of a nuisance behind, it's gonna buy a little bit of distraction work, but sammakot are staying on top for this for now. They find Juxta, which is crucial there, and they're gonna be able to keep us going forward.
Yeah, Flick is gonna start to move forward and then look to apply that pressure, but as you say, playing in yard, gonna have to be a lot slower, especially with Nikki over on the sniper. Moving towards the left-hand side, you know, Flick is trying to play from behind, but they are aware, they are dealing with that flanker. Now it's up to Danish Tyrant regime to maybe make something out of that. But it's difficult to push out here in a second.
Yeah, it's always a tough one. It's not as notorious as some other maps, but it is not an easy one without any sort of ad. Flick gets taken care of eventually as well, so... Well, best case, they bought themselves a little bit of time. The Ubers have basically been equalized now. I mean, it wasn't a huge ad for Robert to begin with, but whatever it was, it has disappeared, and they're gonna have to do this the old-fashioned, traditional way. Still a player down for DTR could be what they need, though. Alaf really wants to take it across the point. Matter of fact, will go for the exchange on the Scout Ubers here, as Robert takes his team back, has to drop Sylves out of it, unfortunately, and it looks like Ams will be able to chase a little bit at least. He tries to get the aggression going, but they're not going to be able to get too much with it. DTR will be able to take yard, but I think they have to slow down ever so slightly. Sammakot probably going to be able to fortify these doors ever so slightly.
Yeah, you could see that obviously Ams was looking for a chance to push through here from above, but they can't commit to it without the backing of the rest of their team. So, as you say, playing a little slower, taking that extra point that yard often kind of represents. Maybe looking for a chance to get some bombs. So far, the bombs of Danish Tyrant regime have been pretty brutal. If they can set up for something, they could potentially find.
That is easier said than done, though, because at the end of the day, there's a couple of very tight choke points you have to try and get through here. So unless you're like a tier 6 jumper main, you're gonna have to work for your bomb. And yeah, Smile just waddling through choke isn't gonna do that. Isn't gonna cut it for that one. As Sylves actually does the counter for it and just waddles forward himself before getting picked off. But hey, dealt a lot of damage, especially to Alien, who might just pay with his life for some stray spam were to hit him. He doesn't, but there was an opportunity there for that cleanup to come through. And well, maybe that's all Sammakot wanted, just to see what they get away with without even having to jump. And it's not like there's going to be much counter-aggression coming through. Matter of fact, it looks like there's a pause. So, interesting. Curious. I wonder if somebody dropped.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too much of an issue. Hopefully there's not any major problems going on. I didn't see anything messaged in the chat, I believe. So, DTR pause. Okay. It is a DTR pause. So, going to be interested to see exactly what this is going to kind of lead to, right? Sorry, not talking about the pause, talking about the game state, right? We've got even Ubers, we're sitting on the mid here. How are Sammakot going to be able to break this open? Because yes, Danish Tyrant regime, they perhaps they want to hold out here. They've got the timer advantage, they've got the point advantage. They don't really have any impetus to do anything. Sure, they might do, but it's mostly down to Sammakot. And as he said, getting any actual aggression into this yard can be very difficult.
It's difficult both ways, and I mean, I guess the pause spoils things a little bit. If they're going to pause, then if it's a technical issue, then perhaps that is something that permeated the tail end of the stuff that happened before the pause, right? So perhaps it's working off of that alone that Sammakot can give themselves an advantage, right? If a player's lagging out or something. They are basically down a fighter for a while inside of DTR. If you're going to seize that without the pause being called, who knows, right? If it's attack pause, I mean, we know that they must have won the round, but why would you call it attack pause if you're still up 2 rounds? So, yeah, it's probably technical. It has on pause as well as players are rearing to keep going. So, but I can assume what could have happened here for Sammakot, what could be an ace for them again, is a player lagging out and a chance for them to perhaps get themselves a little bit of free ground, but I guess we'll see if they do this the old-fashioned way. Traditionally now, they managed to get in the soldier, but Radisher will not be able to get anything done. Smile tries to counterbomb, immediately taken care of as well. Nikki, matter of fact, slips in as well, but doesn't get onto Robert that time around, and it's going to be 2 soldiers down for the side of DTR, which means perhaps that's what Sammakot want. Perhaps this is enough impetus for them to get something moving onto this second point, and it is very much so, as they take themselves ever so slightly further forward. Peek and prod and the Ubers are eventually exchanged, and well, it's hard to call who's going to be in the better position until they finally do fade. With yeah, both sides just resetting that one. Fair, very, very fair.
Yeah, they don't have to commit towards Alien backing off as well, setting up for holding out in this position. They only need to do so for another 1 minute 35. And that's an important thing to keep in mind for DTR. They should be very happy to reset here. It would be exactly what they need, but there's a push coming from the top again here to catch something. Silver's going down, and Russia not actually managing to find anything. It's Nikki and Ampes who fall as they try to get something going on the flank, but some key members to actually crack this open gone from Sammakot, and that timer is going to be even more deadly.
Yeah, this is where the pause came through as well, and well, timer's being bled away. ever so slightly. We still have half the map left, though. Sammakot has plenty of time to figure out how to deal with what ETR are throwing at them, but it's not looking like there's going to be much of that happening. Matter of fact, yeah, as you mentioned, a timer as well. There's round reset potential, very, very much so close here. Neither team defends or wants to cap their points on the other side. Well, they're just going to go back to a mid fight, and I don't think that's what Sammakot wants right now. I don't think they want to lose whatever momentum they could have here. So I can see a desperate push just coming through. Unfortunately, Alov is going to pay with his life immediately as he gets caught in garage, and it just opens things up ever so slightly for DTR to counter a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe they're just keen to go for the round reset as well. I mean, it suits them. It doesn't matter to them.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's 10 seconds left on the clock. They're just going to chill out. Maybe they would have capped the point. It's a coin toss. They both have Ubers. It's just not going to happen. And you can see that even Sammakot are like, okay, let's not even commit here. We can't even make this happen. They just wouldn't have had the space to really achieve anything. So I think this round reset makes sense for both sides, even.
Yeah, they couldn't get close enough to the point, I think. Like, even if they would have had to Uber in straight away and just run forward as fast as they could just to get some cap time on so you can trigger overtime. And at that point, you're in such horrible positions that it wouldn't have worked anyway. So, yeah, the round reset is fair. We'll see if this, maybe isn't what Sammakot still would have wanted in terms of losing a bit of speed, a bit of momentum. They were looking better that round, so maybe they can continue it. Maybe this mid-fight is going to go their way again. Maybe DTR is going to come out swinging once more with some big soldier bombs as, looks like Alien's going to be the first to fall on the other side, but they find 3 frags in return, make it 4. Sammakot is down to Sylves, and Robert trying to just get out of there, run away as they're already getting pincered as well. Robert just fighting with the bow as best he can. Sylves won't be able to salvage much himself. It's another wipe for Sammakot, and DTR looking as strong as ever.
Yeah, this is really brutal to see. Sammakot, they wanted to try and contest it. They wanted to try and deal with something, but with the fact that Nikki and Smile are finding so much success, and Flick is right there with them, constantly being aggressive on this mid. Sammakot just cannot deal with that pressure, that extra player put in, and with, I mean, frankly, Alien putting out a good amount of damage and soaking up a lot of threat. DTR just looks so darn confident on these mids.
And it's just rolling them forward so wonderfully as well. Even when Sammakot wins mid, right? We did see him win a couple now. They can't roll it forward. They don't win as decisively, and it just always comes back to bite them eventually. As the Uber comes into last once more, and, well, realistically, this should be a DTR win, but they do lose Smile early as they have to work for the rest of the frags they want to get on the defending team. Finally, Derpy goes down, but they lost AMS as well. Flick is not in a great position either, and just barely, narrowly escapes the loss. It's actually a hold for once for Sammakot. Only losing your demo? Fair enough. They even got the heavy still peeping forward ever so slightly, and yeah, I think they might even be keen to try and get back into the second if that Uber comes up and becomes a bargaining chip that they can put on the board depending on what they desire to do. Derpy is back on the spawn now as well, so this could be the chance for Sammakot to turn things around, but it is also highly risky to push out of your own last, and they've taken so long to get that Uber going. Trading out Flick for SNH is not going to make things any easier, and Jux is going to have an Uber soon. I love trading out for Smile. Probably still good to slow things down, at least not have to worry about a push in from the side of DTR, but the exchange is certainly happening. And we'll have to see how that shakes out in the end.
Yeah, will be Russia going down, but a couple of players dead from DTR does mean that they are still not in a major advantage. And keep in mind that that spawn is right there. Once those numbers are up, they're going to be right in the action. Pressure put on. They can take down Robert, but can they get much more? Can they take the point? Alien oversteps, and that is a good shot, but the last man standing. Well, the last men standing are both the scouts from DTR. They move to 4 and just continually push their team forward.
Match point once more for DTR. Yeah, they're just looking in control of this match. It's hard to say. I mean, you can try to cope, you can try to gas up the underdog as much as you want, keep huffing it, right? But eventually, I think things might be over for Sammakot. At this point, your mental might be shot as well. Who knows? We could see a miraculous turnaround. We could see a classic one as well, the TCM, but it's just not looking like it so far. We'll have to see if this mid is the start of it, but even just a couple of players going down early for Sammakot could probably spell doom entirely, so they're locked in enough. It's a slow mid for the time being. Nobody really taking too many risks. DTR, matter of fact, just backing out completely with their entire team. Not even willing to fight it anymore. They didn't have positioning, and they're out to second.
Nice boxing out there by Sammakot. They completely stop them from really finding too much. They move up the left side and actually pressure into their house, into their opponent's house, which is a really nice place to find themselves. DTR recognize this though very sensibly, back out to make sure that they don't get ganked here. So good call from them. They're gonna chill. They're gonna hold this yard, which can be a great place to be. A good rocket does hit Chuckster. But unfortunately, it's not really going to turn into a kill. They're just going to get that pack. They're just going to reset. And look at the aggression from the flank of DTR again.
Immediately, on the jump. They're on the pounce immediately to try and follow up anything there. Oh, it's such a nasty flank to deal with, right? Because you're just getting so much aggression thrown your way right away. That Nicky Flick combo is so dangerous. And, well, I guess for the time being, they have stabilized once more, sammakot, right? They didn't have to worry too much about any counter-attacks. At the end of the day, DTR, they have nothing to do. If they really want to, just take the last 10 minutes of this and do nothing, that's perfectly fine for them. They're up 4 rounds, they can afford to do it. The ball is squarely in sammakot's court. They have to make something happen, and, well, losing Sylves isn't gonna make it any easier. Elaf just barely escaping, didn't quite get caught. Derpy trying his best to hold down Choke, but eventually the aggression comes through as well, and the Uber is actually just used out. Obviously, the counter comes out much later for Robert, but he ate a lot of damage before, so if there's any sort of follow-up onto him, that would be dangerous, but perhaps this is still an opportunity for them. They've got their flank through. SNH and Rodisher, they don't really get much positioning either, though, and even if Yard is going to be a little bit controlled by sammakot for a while, they won't be able to stick to it for very long.
No, it's not a place you can stick around if you don't have the health to do so, and sammakot actually took a lot of damage getting in there. Sure, they dealt a lot back, but with Danish Tyrant regime coming out swinging, it isn't a place where you really want to situate yourself.
We're just resetting once more. Equally Ubers, equally situations, sammakot holding their own a little bit more, perhaps DTR giving them an opportunity to hold their own by, you know, playing a bit more passively, seeing what they can do, perhaps practicing their slower play, you know, getting some reps in for other matches they may have on Granary later down the season, so can't blame them for using the opportunity, and sammakot perhaps still seeing if they can find their way into this. With 9 minutes left on the clock, theoretically still possible for them to win, but they would have to launch the comeback of a lifetime, the leapfrogging of an insane proportion, which would have to transpire for this, and Sylves isn't going to get much done with just being a little bit stuck here outside of Choke. Matter of fact, he's going to get caught and killed for his troubles, as neither soldier on either side for now will try to follow up with anything. Nicky and Smile both not in really much of a position to do anything, so once more, it's just seeing what sammakot want to throw at them, and sammakot just seeing to, well, figure out anything, seeing what sticks, basically.
Yeah, I think a big portion of it is that, for example, to get through into this yard has been really difficult for them. Danish Tyrant regime have really locked it down. When we see a soldier jump through to try and make some space, the support is not really in a great place. And I think, interestingly, Alien is actually up quite forward in these scenarios to really cut this. If you can see this here, look how far forward Alien is here. A lot of jumping coming in from Rodshare, but it never really seems to amount to much. Unfortunately, Flick has got their number, and that just lets this demo step up yet again, buy that space for their team, and completely cut off players like Derby Hoops from any of the action. The Uber goes through here, getting milked a little bit as Juxta decides, no, don't need to use it. Completely milked. Unfortunately for you, it's just nothing, sammakot.
That went from bad to worse. Both soldiers bomb in, don't get anything done onto the medic. The scouts just shut him down. Then they just get pushed through. The Uber comes out on a fucking horrible position. Just absolutely nothing they could do with it. And it just crumbles. Dominoes, House of Cards getting demolished. And, well, they're back on second now. Not a huge dis-ad, to be fair, all things considered. At the end of the day, Juxta did have to use, and he used pretty late. So even though Robert went down and all that squabbling, you know, it's only down 20%. Worst case scenario, you can hold last with it, but that's not where you want to be when you're down 4 rounds already and basically mathematically incapable of coming back and taking home any points tonight. But hey, you know, morale and all that, I suppose. Keep yourself strong, headstrong.
Yeah. They gotta keep their chin up, as otherwise it's just gonna be a knockout blow coming in a few seconds from DTR. They're going to play this very slowly. In fact, Irby, who's already eating a lot of that spam, has to be very careful. They try and step out here. Could easily get caught and go down. Look how far forward Nikki is, just providing all that space for their team. Again, DTR soldiers have been on fire this game.
If they've been in the right place at the right time every single time, as now DTR move forward into last. Didn't have to use just yet. They're just gonna see what they can do here. Grab a little ground the natural way. Nikki's already in so deep as well. Just freaking havoc on the backline, basically, of sammakot. Finally, something happens as Alien will be the first to fall. Sylves gets straight on the other side as well, though, for the other team. And the Uber is forced out, crucially, out of sammakot for all that scrambling. Couple of players going in, putting down their life for it, will be enough to get that Uber out. Now Juxta has his own. A couple of players rearing to use it on as well. As they turn the corner, Ams is immediately on the chase. Derpy gets taken care of. Robert, his days are numbered, and it just crumbles apart from there. They do find Ams and Juxta, to be fair, but it's still going to be a hard one to keep holding on to regardless, as the DTR aggression will probably come through regardless. They love fighting the stride, even if the numbers are equal. Okay, you know what, Alien going down. Perhaps sammakot are going to be holding this for a while longer.
Yeah, I mean, I like it from DTR, right? When you're 4 points up, you can afford to have that ego, right? Hey, we just take this. But sammakot are not that weak a team. They do have the ability to stop this, and they do so pretty easily, honestly. After losing their med, it looked bad, but as he said, with Juxta also going down, there's a chance they could make a pushback here. It's not going to be easy, but it's possible.
At least a round is still on the board for sammakot, a round in the cards. Perhaps you can have one for the set, and you know what? Once more, Alov manages to find Juxta, just sneaks right in there, does his little flanking play, and it works out beautifully. Ams gets taken down as well. Nikki gets traded out for Sylves, and Alien taken down. So again, sammakot in a nice position to actually keep this rolling forward. Smile in the backline doesn't cause much trouble either. It's only Flick left alive, and well, he's running away. He's meeting up with his medic, so yeah, sammakot in a position to actually maybe pick up a round in their first week match. A little consolation prize, perhaps. Nothing that will change anything in the scorelines at the end of the day when it comes to the season. But hey, it's gonna look a little bit better.
It would look a little better, but it certainly wouldn't satisfy sammakot. They're looking for a little bit more than just a round. They definitely can put up a good performance, but today has just not been their day. Nikki, again finding A-Log. Again, finding so much space for this team. Not enough to push out of, as the Uber comes on in here, wanting to look for an opportunity. They do catch Smile. Can they get anything else? But it's just a retreat from DTR. They know they don't have to fight.
And they have their own Uber, ready to go as well. Right back at him. Just take him right into Derpy's so far forward, just trying to slow them down ever so slightly, seeing if you can catch somebody out, but Juxta isn't going to let that happen. Just manages to flash everybody. Runisher also just caught in completely. Not going to be able to do anything there, and it's just the two scouts and Robert seeing if they can get away with anything as Robert runs away with Alov and realizes, wait a minute, we're getting pincered, and SNH is just in forward, so perhaps there's a chance here to just do anything with it. Never mind, Alov loses on the beam against Flick. That's a very unfortunate situation to be in. Eventually the pincer comes through as well, and Robert will be cleaned up.
Look, man, I always say, you know, when you're feeling yourself and you just can't miss, that's where Flick is at right now. Has been tearing up this map, especially after Process, which was nonetheless a very solid performance from themselves as well. But this is just looked so consistent, so good from them. And, I mean, yeah, with the time as it is, sammakot pretty much stopped any opportunity to use. They do have the spy. Alov is on the spy right now.
Sure.
You know, I would pop off for this kill. If this is a backstab, I'll pop.
They let him get away with it. Unfortunately, he's in no position at all. He's very far behind, but he's not behind any crucial targets at all. He decloaks, sure, but the team is already in. The Uber has been popped, so there's no crucial medic pick there at all. He gets one stab onto Flick, who was capping the point, and, you know, I mean, that's something. I'm sure he's happy about that one in some regards, but it won't do anything to stem the tide, and it will be a 5-0 going the way of DTR. A decisive, dominant performance, coming out swinging at the start of the season against probably one of their easiest opponents, to be fair, but nonetheless, impressive every time.
Hey, to Lightify, you got to start with the spark, and this is absolutely the spark for Danish Tyrant Regime's season. Exactly what they want to start off with, a 2-0, pretty convincing beating of sammakot here is a really nice place to find themselves. Sammakot, though, they're going to have to head back to the drawing board and figure out what just went wrong here.
Yeah, they just looked lost for a lot of that, right? They didn't really seem to have a handle on things. They looked a lot better on Granary, to be fair. Even though it was still a 5-0, they looked a lot better on Granary than they did on Process. So if they can, bring that energy to future matches and see how it treats them, very well a chance that they can actually still pick up points this season. Because despite getting beaten decisively today, I do think this team has the chances to at least do some upsets or grab, points here and there easily. So, yeah. But looking at the logs, I mean, Ams was hitting his stride this match. It's no secret. He might be back. He might be back after retirement.
It's always good to see an old man still kicking. But yeah, no, I mean, it was a really impressive performance on the whole, and I love to see it from Danish Tyrant regime. The fact that these scouts were so in sync and able to have such success on Granary, it kind of just shows just how coordinated DTL were here and how much they could capitalize on some of the slip-ups that we saw from sammakot. And I mean, this tells part of the story again for Robert, right? Just a series of pretty horrendous events, constantly getting bombed, constantly getting jumped by amps. This is just a brutal time for Robert.
Yeah, no, Robert was not having a great time tonight. It's an unfortunate position to be in. And again, sometimes people look at stats like this and they go, oh, the medic must have been terrible. The medic was the issue. I don't think it was necessarily even Robert's fault. He might have been out of position a couple of times. Sure, inexperience. It is his first Prem season after all, as far as I'm aware, right? But it's also, if the entire team just doesn't play around it well enough and stuff, it totally just is a whole thing that crumbles. But I think we should stop talking too much about it anyway, because the other match tonight is actually still ongoing right now. And it still has a little bit of time left. So I think we should just watch that and stop talking about this.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have a great evening. See you over at Essentials TF on Twitch, and good night.